I feel somewhat compelled to correct a few misunderstandings by Colin here, for which I lay no blame because many people might be confused by them as well, hence the video. And by the way, this is not a sponsored video, it's not sponsored by GoPro or anybody else, but you've probably noticed the GoPro t-shirt, so I just thought I'd get that out of the way first. If they do want to sponsor me, that'd be great, but at the moment, they don't. So Colin here says, just a comment on what you actually skim over. Now, actually, I disagree straight away because there's a few of these things that I've gone into quite a great amount of detail for, but I'll do the same again in this video just so that it's more convenient. The first of which, Colin says, you work for the bar. And bar, by the way, should have a capital B. But otherwise it looks like a gin joint or something like that. But no, you work for the bar is actually a misconceived idea. There is no bar as such that I work for or any other barrister works for. Now, this is not to be confused with a barrister working in a coffee shop or that kind of bar. The bar in this sense, what Colin is really referring to is the collective bar of England and Wales. Now, I am a barrister of the bar of England and Wales, but I don't work for the bar of England and Wales. In fact, I am completely independent, as is every other barrister. Even if a barrister is employed by, let's say, a company or even by the CPS, the Crown Prosecution Service, every barrister remains independent. And the Bar Standards Board, our regulator, will confirm that to you should you pose the question. Every barrister should be completely independent. Now, most barristers are in private practice, as in they are a sole practitioner and they are a member of a chambers, which is a collective unit of barristers known as a barrister's chambers. I have a barrister's chambers and I have a law firm. Nonetheless, every barrister is independent. They do not work for the bar. That's the first misconception that lots of people come across. Next of all, Colin expands upon that by saying judges and courts all work for the bar, which is also not correct. Judges are part of the judiciary, which is a separate arm of the separation of powers. Although there's no written official separation of powers, it is part of the separation of powers. The judiciary is separate from the legislature, i.e. government that is making the law, and the executive, which is executing the law, putting the law into practice. The judiciary is separate. Now, when many people talk about oaths, now a barrister doesn't take an oath, although judges do. Judges do take an oath of allegiance to the king. Now, there is both an oath of allegiance and a judicial oath, which take many different acceptable forms depending on your faith. So taking the affirmation by way of example, the oath of allegiance would be, I do solemnly, sincerely and truly declare and affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law. Now, the judicial oath, again with the affirmation version, would be I name, of course, do solemnly, sincerely and truly declare and affirm that I will well and truly serve our sovereign King Charles III in the office of whichever office the judge is holding, circuit judge or whichever, and I will do right to all manner of people after the laws and usages of this realm without fear or favour, affection or ill will. In other words, the judge is making an oath to do right by all people according to the law, without any fear, favour, affection or ill will, without any bias or without any prejudice and so on. So I thought you might find that useful. But anyway, back to Colin's comments. So judges and courts all work for the bar. Well, clearly that is also not quite right. Now, the court is obviously simply a place where the judges will sit to hear and try cases. Moving on, Colin says you keep using laws when you should state legislation, which is not laws. Now, that statement is also not correct because legislation is primary law in the United Kingdom, and the supreme lawmaking body in the United Kingdom is, of course, the Westminster Parliament. Colin then says you all supposedly get your orders from government. That's also not correct. Whilst I abide by the rules set down by our regulator, which is the Bar Standards Board, I do not receive orders from the government, and indeed I do not receive orders from our regulator. Our regulator regulates by way of the rules our conduct, and that means that we must always be honest and truthful and so on. We cannot mislead the court. We must maintain confidentiality of our client and so on and so forth. These rules are fairly in-depth, they're fairly intense, but I do not receive, and no other barrister or no judges receive these orders from the government or from anyone else for that matter. So I thought that was an interesting opportunity to clarify some things that many people might have thought about and just provide some insider guidance on that. So many people do believe that a barrister takes an oath of this form. We don't, although we do comply with the rules of our handbook, as it's called by our regulator, which includes, of course, not misleading the court. But also our duty not to mislead the court does not automatically override our duty of confidentiality to our client. So let's say if the court is being misled or has been misled, but it's as a result of something said to us by our client, but our client says, you must not tell the court this, then there will be situations where we must withdraw from the case because we cannot allow the court to be misled by us, but also we cannot breach our confidentiality with the client. So we cannot just tell the court anyway, because that would be in breach of our confidentiality clause with our client, but we cannot allow the court to continue to be misled if we are on the case. So we would need to seek permission from the client to correct the position with the court, but if the client refuses, then we must withdraw from the case because we're in a no-win situation. We cannot breach confidentiality, but we cannot allow the court to be misled. So in that situation, yes, we are bound by certain rules to be honest and truthful with the court, but we're not given orders as such, certainly not from government or from anyone else. So I hope that was useful. I hope it was interesting. If you do find that interesting, please do smash the like button and subscribe, because around 60% of you that watch this channel are not subscribed, and yet you regularly watch. So as one small favour for me, please smash that like button and subscribe, and I thank you for watching.